Hello and welcome to a post-match Everything is Black and White special. I'm Sean McCormick, joined by Chief Newcastle writer at the Chronicle, Lee Ryder, and we're speaking in the aftermath of a 3-2 Carabao Cup second round win, Lee, against West Brom. There were times where I thought Newcastle were going to get knocked out. They ended up winning. Another exciting game. We've had two blood and thunder home games under Matthias Jeister so far. What's your verdict on that tonight, then? 3-2 win against West Brom?
Typical Carabao Cup, really, wasn't it? It was thrills and spills. Threat of a shock defeat. I mean, Newcastle going 1-0 down.
Yeah.
I think it was a perfect introduction to the Carabao Cup for the new backroom team, that you're going to have to fight for everything, even against a team from the lower leagues. And I think, as we're speaking now, you can just see Matthias Jeister walking out the stadium, and I think he's looking pretty satisfied as we stand here and analyse the situation. But for us, a great game to cover, but as always, midweek, tight deadlines. It's never dull, as you said, as we were walking up here, and I think really they got the results, and that's all that counts now.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, isn't it? Cup football, all you need to do is win, get through. Like, if that's penalties, or that's 1-0. If they won 6-0, doesn't really make a difference, does it? It's just about getting the win on the board, and that's what Newcastle did in the end. As you said, they went 1-0 behind. I think you and Joanne probably could have done much better with the goal from Isaac Price, the free kick in the first half. Probably catches them out a bit, doesn't it? It goes round the wall. Probably should have had a better wall in terms of, being able to block that off. He'll probably think he should have done better with it, but Newcastle came back. Amar Dedić scored on his debut, couldn't really miss. But I want to talk about Amar Dedić because he created that goal. He created the winning goal for Harvey Barnes in the second half as well. He's been here a matter of a week. He was brilliant on Sunday against Liverpool, and he was brilliant again tonight, wasn't he? I think he's going to be a real star in the early showings of what we've seen so far.
Yeah, I think he's one of Jeister's sort of trusted men who he wanted to bring in. And as you say, outstanding against Liverpool, outstanding here tonight against the Championship side. That doesn't matter. Got the 2 assists, as you say. But he was just, it's like he's been playing here for about 5 or 6 years. He's just so confident in everything that he does, and he's got purpose with his passing, moving forward. And for me, it's going to be interesting to see what happens when Tino Livramento is fit again, because he's certainly not going to walk back into the team with Dedić playing like that. When we signed Dedić, I look back at the Benfica game when he played here. He didn't have his best night then, but that was certainly, you'd be foolish if you judged him on that performance, because since he's come here, he's really revelled. Pull him on that black and white shirt. Looks like he's really loving it here. And 10 out of 10. Not many players get 10 out of 10 in the ratings, but he did.
Yeah, well, 2 assists. I think defensively he's looked good, but it's more the athleticism going forward. And I think the way that Jeister clearly wants to play, where it's aggressive, it's front-footed, but what we noticed on Sunday was that when they get the ball, it's so purposeful, and they want to be ruthlessly efficient. They don't want to waste any passes, they don't want to waste any time. They want to get to the goal as quickly as possible. And I think Dedić really helps with that, because he flies forward, doesn't he?
Yeah.
And obviously the manager knows him really well, played with him at Salzburg. I think that can go 2 ways, can't it? Because obviously he's played in a league under Jeister where Salzburg were comfortably the best team. You look back at Jesse Marsch and the Salzburg lads he brought in the Leeds, they really struggled, whereas Dedić so far, touch wood, 2 games in, has looked really good. Obviously it's a bit different, the fact he's beaten Benfica, he's beaten Marseille, he's had that sort of bigger club experience, I think, since Salzburg, rather than jumping straight from Austria and Newcastle. But I do think when the manager's only had 3 weeks to get his message across, having a player who knows how he works, who can just plug in and play, has been a real big plus. And as you say, when Tino Livramento comes back to full fitness, if Dedić keeps playing the way he's playing, and that can change obviously in the next couple of games, I just don't see how Tino right now comes back into the team. So that's a good selection dilemma to have. Another one is on the left wing. We mentioned there, Touré scored. Actually wasn't his best game. We've seen him in pre-season where he's looked absolutely electric. I thought probably struggled on the whole tonight, but he still got that goal.
Yeah.
Barnes come on, and we saw what Harvey Barnes does best, scores goals. And when the team needed it tonight, needed someone to step up to take the game by the scruff of the neck. He, as one of the elder statesmen of the squad, did it. And we saw with Visser on Sunday, another player who stepped up into a sort of leadership role. And I think you saw again with Barnes tonight, when the team really needed it, he scored 2 goals, and that's what Harvey Barnes does best.
Yeah, and it sounds like really obvious, but it's about taking the chances,
Yeah.
because in the last 2 games you've had Johan Visser, who was fantastic against Liverpool, don't get me wrong, but missed a big chance. Tonight, missed a big chance.
One again, yeah.
Harvey Barnes is clinical. I mean, his goal record for Newcastle must be fantastic for the fact that he hasn't played half as many games as others, but when he plays, he takes his opportunities. He signed a new contract here recently. Anthony Gordon now has left the club. He does not have that competition as intense as it was, but now it's about this can be his season here if he takes that opportunity. For me, against Liverpool, he didn't do that well. He didn't have enough end product. Can't argue with that tonight.
No.
Took his 2 chances really well, made an impact, and now it's what you do against Tottenham at the weekend.
Yeah, I mean, I can't see him losing his place now. I think that's his to lose, that left wing spot. One player who needed to make an impact tonight and didn't make an impact tonight was Nick Voltemada. We've spoken all summer about where he fits into this team. Last season the question was it Eddie Howe not getting the best out of him, or did he not suit the way Newcastle played? We thought with Leicester coming in, a fellow German who knows him well, we'd see the best Nick Voltemada. It's still early days, as I said, only 3 weeks into the Leicester era. We're not ruling out, we're not writing off anybody's seasons just yet. But I think the evidence is starting to mount very quickly. Nick Voltemada just doesn't suit the way Newcastle play. I thought he really struggled tonight. Didn't impact the game at all. I don't think he's, aggressive enough in the press. That's not his game. We know he's very good on the ball. He's good in a team who gets on the ball quite a lot. I think he's good interlinking, but Newcastle don't play to his strengths, and I don't think his strengths suit Newcastle. I don't know if you agree, but I just thought tonight felt like a big game for him to prove where he fits into this squad. And Leicester keeps defending him, to be fair, in the press conferences, but we're going to have to see something, I think, pretty sharpish to convince us that he does suit the way we play, because right now I'm struggling to see it.
Yeah, I mean, it would be pretty super boring if we both stood here and agreed with everything we were both saying. But for me, I'll tell you how I saw it. I saw a player there devoid of confidence. I did put that to the manager afterwards. I said, is it a psychological problem? He says, I'm not a psychologist, which is a great answer. But what I saw was, I agree what you're saying in terms of the press, but what I saw was a player that he wasn't getting great service. If you look at the sort of graphs and where Murphy's passes were ending up, there was nothing right where he wants to go back to that goal against Wolves where he rises and heads it in on his debut. I haven't seen anything like that for a long, long time. But I was seeing a player who was still running around. I think that's...
I don't think in question his effort, definitely not.
He was pointing areas where he wanted the ball as well. So I don't think we're dealing with a player here who's given up on his Newcastle career.
No, not at all.
I think he's a player who needs love, needs service, but most of all, he needs a goal. And actually, that's what Yajla said. He says it will be a matter of time when the goal comes. So he's obviously backing him.
Yeah.
But it's that old adage, the old, you had Alan Shearer here watching tonight. He went on bad runs in his career, where not many, by the way. But he went on some, runs with England where he didn't score for a long time. And it's that scruffy one where goes in off your backside or whatever. That's what he needs. He needs something from about 2 inches out, and he needs to get his sort of confidence back. That's what I'm seeing. I agree with what you're saying about the press, about the style. Well, in a way, then that's up to the manager to then play to his strengths. If he's not going to do that, then you're not going to see the best of him. So, yeah, it's a conundrum for the manager.
It is. I think you're right. He probably does need a moment to, get it back among the goals. I just worry that this run, this barren sort of run of form, not all of it his fault, to be fair, but it feels like it's just carried on and on and on. And I feel like the time is running out to get that moment to kick-start him back again. Listen, he had a fantastic start with his time at Newcastle. 3 months, he was brilliant. That feels a long time ago, and listen, we're not getting the best out of him, and hopefully Yeister can find that magic touch, but I'm just not seeing it right now. Doesn't sound like he'll be leaving or anything like that in the next week.
No, that was pretty much confirmed, wasn't
yeah.
it? He says he doesn't expect him to leave. Asula's still injured, so
Opportunity may knock in that sense, yeah.
Who then starts in the Premier League at Tottenham?
Yeah.
We'll have to wait and see. Could be Wissa. But again, we're talking about Walter, not getting chances. Well, Wissa's actually missing chances.
Yeah.
So it's not like.
I think the argument would be if Wissa keeps putting himself in that situation, he will score eventually. Whereas I don't think Walter is getting in that situation enough. But we'll see what happens on Saturday. That is a squad, that is a selection conundrum, isn't it? Because Asula's not going to be fit. Does he go Wissa and Walter together? Does he put Visser? Does he put Wissa further forward and play Willock in the 10? Because he seems to really enjoy Joe Willock in that position. Got asked again today if Joe Willock's going anywhere. Sounds like he's staying. He said no. He said things can change quickly in football, and I do think obviously if they do sign a number 10 in the mould of Fernandez Pardo or in the mould of El Canus, that can change things very quickly. Just on that, just to briefly sort of overview that situation, where do things stand on that? What are Newcastle's stance on those two players? We know they like them, but do they see a deal happening in the next few days?
Well, I got told 2 days ago from a very good source that Newcastle are still active in the window. They're not going to be done after Gonzalez.
Yeah.
Now, this doesn't guarantee anything in football because we've seen this before, but it sounds like they've got money to spend. They're ready to bring at least one or two more players in. If it's one of the two players you mentioned, then I think the fans will be in dreamland. Certainly, Fernandez Pardo, I got told probably about 4 days ago now that it was a deal they wanted to do, but they didn't know whether they could kind of get it over the line. Look, if they do, to be honest, if you guaranteed just Fernandez Pardo come in, then I think most fans will go, yeah, brilliant, let's shut the window and get on with. Yeah, maybe they do need a left back as well, but if I offered you just that player now, I bet you would probably say I'll take that and I'll take my chance on left back cover.
Yeah, and I think that would excite the fans, wouldn't it? Because it's a youngster coming in again, but a youngster with a lot of good teams after him, a lot of potential, a lot of hype around him. It's just whether or not Lille are going to keep playing hardball on that price. Obviously, they've just got a lot of money for Buadi at Man City. He just went there today. So they're in the Champions League as well. They're not in a position where they need to sell Fernandez Pardo. Obviously, sounds like he wants to move. He wants to join a big club. But it's whether or not Newcastle can sort of meet there in the middle, doesn't it? So we'll see on that. Obviously, we'll bring you all the latest transfer news as and when it happens. But back to tonight, they won. They're in the third round of the Carabao Cup. We spoke briefly on Sunday and then the podcast on Monday about the fact that Yeister has a good cup record in Austria and Saudi Arabia. Felt like he respected Newcastle's recent history in this competition tonight with the team selection. I think he could have been a bit more rotational than what he was. I mean, the back four didn't change at all, which I thought was a sign of, he's taking this really seriously. We expected the keeper to change because, João needed a game on the lights competitively tonight. We expected to change in midfield, we expected changes up front, but I didn't think the back four, because I thought at least Cher would come in and possibly even Leo Shahar have a debut as well, a full debut, but it didn't, and he played a senior back four that played against Liverpool. To me, that spoke volumes of how seriously he's treating the cups, and you said it'd be very interesting to see what that team selection says about his mentality. To me, it says that he wants to take it seriously and fancies a cup run.
Yeah, he's answered it straight away. And not only that, the way he celebrated the goals, it was like, this guy's up for it. He's punching the air. He was
going mad at the referee, wasn't he, full time?
At the end, but the goal celebrations, he was like, you could see the kind of like, the venom in his eyes almost, that I want to win this now. This is how I want you guys to play, and I just thought he answered a few questions there, certainly. I mean, I never doubted that he would be taking the cups seriously. He played it quite cool going into the game, but the team sheet spoke volumes.
Yeah.
And now, Millwall away, he You couldn't make it up. You know, we're just talking about it there. I've been down there and I know what it's like. It is an intimidating away day, as you would imagine, because Millwall have got that kind of reputation in terms of they make it difficult for the opposition.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, it's almost like a football. You know, in the A to Z of football, you know that's going to be a tough away game.
Yeah.
Millwall, I'm sure the fans will be up for it. I asked the manager if he'd be up for it. He said he's just learning. He said he was judging people's reaction as a draw was being made. And I thought that was quite telling as well, that he's actually saying, I don't know it all, and I'm learning as I go along. And yeah, certainly, I'm sure he's had experiences in Germany as a player and stuff like that, of intimidating away games, but this will be very interesting in the next round. Yeah,
well, I mean, we'll preview that as it gets closer, but he did say, didn't he, like he expects a crazy game, so I think he's under no illusions how difficult and how raucous the atmosphere will be when you're heading literally into the Lions' Den. Just a quick thanks to our sponsors, NordVPN and Sally. As always, you can find all the latest promotions in the comments section below. Nico Gonzalez paraded before kick-off, Lee.
Yep.
So we got word in the press room that was going to get announced 10 minutes before kick-off. Fantastic reception. Chance of Nico. So
Yeah.
Bruno's in the rear view mirror, and it's now Nico.
Yes.
But a lot of money spent, an exciting signing. We spoke about it on the last couple of podcasts, but it does feel like he's going to come straight into the team. He's going to take on the role of Bruno, I guess, in terms of, you know, he's the like-for-like replacement. We know Pep Guardiola really rated him, called him a mini Rodri. But you got a feel for how much the fans could potentially love him tonight, because he got a fantastic reception. The floor's his, basically, isn't it, to make himself that hero. He's got a massive opportunity now. He's going to play most games. I think the thought of him and Mighty together is really, really exciting. Thoughts? I think it felt like a exciting, uplifting signing for the crowd tonight.
No, I agree. I think, and you know, the great takeaway for me is that he was beaming when he went on that pitch. He was loving it, and I think he was almost taken aback by it. But you don't get that. You don't get that everywhere. Do you know what I mean? I mean, for certainly a massive club like Man City, he went there, but ultimately, this is a special football stadium. That's why I love it. I know Newcastle want to move. They want to move to a new stadium, but for me, this is why I love this place. And I'd hate to lose that element of it. And I think you just felt that magic and love as he went out on the pitch. And I think you could see he was enjoying it, absorbing it. And you have a couple of good games on there, then you're a legend forever.
You know about Voldemort being loved. I think that's probably what he needs, because he's had a difficult time recently. Maresca's made it quite clear he didn't fancy him in his City team. Guardiola really rated him. Speaking to the lads in Manchester who've covered him at the Manchester Evening News, they said that at times last season he was Man City's most important player, then he sort of fell away, but they said that was because he basically got flogged and had to play a stupid amount of games in a stupid amount of time. So that's exciting, and he's been Man City's most important player for a period. So my mic's just falling off there. I'm going to hold that so it doesn't fall away. But yeah, really exciting signing. Hopefully we'll see him for the first time against Tottenham on Saturday. Just to end, a couple of young lads in the squad tonight who we thought might have got a run out. As the game transpired, it didn't really allow for it. But obviously Leo Shahar, who's been involved all the pre-season, was involved on Sunday in the squad, didn't get on. Again, involved in the squad tonight, didn't get on. Sean Neve, involved in the squad tonight, seen a bit of him in pre-season, didn't get on. I mean, he's actually spoken about his desire to have regular senior football this season, so he clearly wants a loan deal. So I feel like that one could definitely happen. But then Leo Shahar, on those two, do you think we'd expect to see them leave the club, or do you think Newcastle could possibly see a role for them in the squad for this season?
Look, I think tonight, just quickly on this, tonight I don't think there was an opportunity to get them on, because the game was so tight and stretched. I mean, if you're 3-0 up, 4-0 up, great, start getting some of the young lads on. But I think they both probably would take value from a loan.
Yeah.
Certainly Sean Neve, certainly Leo Shahar. Mason Miley maybe not, because he's quite raw. But for me, I think that's going to be a big job now for the backroom team to find the right. Let's find the right loans, because how many times we've been here that they go out on loan, they don't get an opportunity, we're going into January and they're coming back and having to find another club. It's demoralising for the young players. The need to, let's find the right clubs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Partner clubs, whatever you want to call them, but ultimately find the right loan and make sure they come back with 30 plus games under their belt, because that hasn't been happening.
But that's the thing, is like, if they have a successful loan, the opportunity's twofold. Sorry, the wind's getting really bad and the phone's blowing, so I'm going to try and wrap this up quite quickly. But the opportunity's twofold, isn't it? Because they either come back and they get into the Newcastle first team and the fire and that's brilliant because it's an academy lad, especially in Sean Neve's case. And that's always something brilliant that the fans can really relate to. But in the modern day of the football finances and the transfers and all that kind of stuff, if you look at the bottom line of like Chelsea, Liverpool, Man City, Arsenal, every single summer there'll be 3, 4, 5, even 6 players sometimes who'll never even played for the club or played for the club once or twice, and they bring in 5 million, 6 million, 3 million, whatever it might be, but then that tots up to 20, 30, 40 million. Newcastle haven't done that because their academy hasn't been good enough, but it's slowly getting there, and I feel like that's the importance of loans like that, because at the end of the day, they need to bring in every bit of money they can to try and compete with the big boys. So hopefully, as you say, they get the right loans in, because Sean Neve particularly, I think, is a real top talent, and even if he hasn't got a career at Newcastle, you want to extract the best possible money from him, and he goes on loan and doesn't play, then it's a real kick in the teeth. We've seen with Sanusi having with this last season, a real talent, didn't really play at Lorient. So yeah, you need to get that right. And we'll end it on that note. So thanks again for joining us as always from St James's Park. We'll have the match preview ahead of Tottenham at some point coming later this week, and then we'll have the post-match podcast from North London. Hopefully Newcastle continue their unbeaten start of the season. It should be a difficult game against Tottenham, but also we saw how much they struggled at the weekend, so it feels like an opportunity early in the season to capitalise on that, and I'm sure there'll be no lack of motivation to get one over San Tonali as well. So thanks for joining us as always, and catch us next time.